We're going to give a few minutes for people to join in the chat here. But I just got back from the freedom protest, or not, not the freedom protest, the mandate protest, I should say, in my area here. And it's good and bad in the sense that there is now a very small number of people only now that the Ottawa convoy has been moved. There's only a small amount of people who are showing up, but on the other hand, it is hopeful because that means there's still some people showing up even after the fact. So, anyways, I know that the big thing now is to talk about Ukraine and Russia, which I won't do. I will not do that. Oh, hey, Tasaniko. Because I think that it's really important that we keep focus on the freedom fight in Canada. So, as much as I can appreciate that there's some issues in other parts of the world, I think right now Canada needs to focus, especially Canadians, we need to focus on ourselves. Oh, the fan just started there. Let me know in the mic if you guys can hear my heater fan just started up. So, yeah, let's not lose track. The Canadian freedoms are in dire straits right now. And for anybody who can't see it yet or doesn't believe it, I'm just going to recap very quickly before we get into what we're going to talk about today. Oh, and look, I forgot to change the title of my. Let me see if I can do this live. I have to change the title because I went live with the title I had last time. Let me see if it's going to let me change it. Just 1 second, guys. What can I name this stream here? Freedom still not obvious in Canada. Okay, that's how we're going to call it. Obvious in Canada. Okay, here. Hopefully this changes the... hopefully this changes it. Yeah, okay, there. I hope it changed the title on this because I forgot to change it. Sorry about that, guys. Yes, this is something we're going to talk about. I actually have this article lined up because I wanted to talk about that with you guys today. But yes, happy Sunday afternoon. Welcome to one more week in tyranny. I know a lot of people who are just kind of going about their day do not realize the true predicament Canadian freedom is in right now. But just to recap some of the big elements that we've learned from the last few weeks. The government can invoke the Emergencies Act for nothing at all for a peaceful protest. They can declare a peaceful protest to be a violent terrorist attack on Canada. They can then go ahead and freeze the bank account of anybody who has participated or is even suspected in participating. And as we already knew, they are banning free speech and only promoting articles that are done by the media that they pay for. So the Canadian government is able to therefore release the information it wants to have released, suppress every other information. So this is kind of in a nutshell, and I'm sure I've forgotten a ton of stuff, but in a nutshell, this is what Canada is. This is the predicament we're in right now. So we're in a total fight for freedom, even if most Canadians don't realize it yet, just because we don't realize it doesn't mean it's true. That doesn't mean that it's not true or not happening. We are in the fight for our country right now. We're on the cusp of our country being taken over by a globalist entity, and we absolutely must fight to regain the Canada that we knew that people used to immigrate to find freedom. We need that Canada back. So that's what we're doing. So as much as it's important to look at global affairs, and as much as my heart goes out to anybody being injured in the front lines, both on the Russian side, on the Ukrainian side, I don't really know much about that conflict, to be quite honest. But I know what Trudeau... before we move off from that, let me just show you guys what Trudeau tweeted, and then we'll get to Tam. So today, on this wonderful Sunday afternoon, it's very sunny, but bitterly cold outside in Ontario. But what we are going to talk about is we're going to talk about how the businesses can drop the vax mandate as of next week in Ontario, but across Canada. Yet the promotion is from the government is that businesses should keep going along with this. So we're going to talk about that because this is a very, very dangerous territory we're in. And I'm going to show you some of the Nazi Germany laws that did exactly that. So we're going to look at that. But yes, before we get into that, I wanted to show you, I should have lined this up, but I just thought about it on, on the stream here. So I should have lined it up before, but I'm going to see if I can go find it. It's one of the Trudeau tweets. And I won't play any Trudeau today because I've done that already on last Wednesday. And I still have not recovered from hearing him and having to have dealt with him. So I don't want to play more of that. But we're going to look at one of his latest tweets here. Just give me 1 second to bring that up, guys. Well, I hope the sound is good. I hope you guys are good, really. I hope you guys are good. I hope you're hanging in there wherever you are. And you're not letting everything that's going on discourage you. It's important that we try to stay strong through this. But let's see here. Okay, so I'm on Justin Trudeau's Twitter page. Let me share this with you guys so you see what I'm looking at. And we're going to find the tweet because if we compare, where is it? Nope. I don't want to talk too much about the Ukraine, but here. Oh, funny how he's not tweeting about COVID anymore or getting the vaccine. Okay, Ukraine. Oh my gosh, I should have. He's tweeting a lot. He's tweeting a lot about this, eh? He's almost tweeting as much as the Ukraine as he was about the vaccine just a few weeks ago. Okay, so hold on. Okay, Black history. Oh, I wish I had this tweet. Oh my God. This guy is tweeting so much. Okay. We can pretty much use any tweet from him. I was hoping to find the one that I had spotted earlier, but we can just use this one. We'll just use this one. So if you go along with what when he talked about the Freedom Convoy and he tweeted about that, remember those tweets were all along the line of, oh, this is a small fringe minority. That turned out to be false. It turned out to be a lot of people. So not a fringe minority, but a good majority of Canadians, because it wasn't just the Canadians who were in Ottawa protesting. It was all the Canadians who provided their support along the way. So we saw it from BC all the way out to New Brunswick. People coming in from both sides of the country had overpasses that were full. The highways were full of people cheering on. So this is where we realized it's not a fringe minority. So he got that wrong. So either he got it wrong or he tried to downplay it. But regardless, doesn't look very good for him. So when you think about that, and then said, these enough is enough. These protesters, the protesters became these terrorists, these white supremacist Islamophobes. Remember when he said that? He tweeted, and these truckers are Islamophobe, sexist, whatever. Like he threw all of it at the truckers. And that turned out to be false as well. So all of that to bring us to the tweet when he starts talking about the Ukraine and Russia, he is viciously attacking Russia. And he says it's an affront to democratic principles that Canadians fought to protect. It's ironic because we're trying to fight right now to protect it, but we're being suppressed massively. But it just shows you, now that I've seen all of the tweets about the convoy and how wrong and false they were, it was an inversion of reality. I wonder, and I'm hoping a lot more Canadians are with me on that, but are you also wondering, when he tweets this now on the Ukraine, do you wonder what is true about this? I almost want to take every tweet he does on the Ukraine and invert it, and maybe that is the truth of what's happening. So if we take this one, for example, it says Russia's actions are an affront to the democratic principle. If we were to use the inversion principle, let's call it that, but it could be Russia's actions are in support of the democratic principles. Is that the reality? Because everything I've seen from Trudeau, the speech is the exact opposite of the reality. So this is what I'm wondering. So he says Ukrainian people, like all people, are free to determine their own future, and we must stand firmly against authoritarianism. But while he's saying this out in to the Ukrainian people, he's saying Canadians, we are not free to determine our own future, because if we don't get the vax, we lose our jobs, we can't go places, we can't leave the country, right? So in that optic, you're not determining your own future anymore in Canada. The government has de facto determined your own future. And I would love for somebody to prove me wrong on that, right? Like, am I wrong? And if I am, please tell me, because I don't see it any other way. When I see our prime minister saying that we have to stand against authoritarianism, while he himself is enforcing authoritarianism in Canada, it makes me wonder about the true motives of everything, right? So it looks good on paper to denounce the Russians and support the Ukrainians. But what is really going on? That's my question. I'm just going to scroll down just a little bit more just to see if I can find the tweet that I wanted to talk with you guys about. So yeah, they're bringing in Ukrainians. Okay. Oh, I think it's this one. I hope I find it in. Yeah, I think it's this one here. I need to find it in English. I might have it only in French. Why can't? Oh, here it is. Okay, I can't find it. We're going to use this one. I'm going to translate it for you guys. But he says, we're imposing more sanctions in response to the brutal attack and unjustified of Russia against Ukraine. If I read that with the inversion optics that we were just talking about, to me, that means that potentially the reality could be, and I'm not saying this is the reality, but I'm saying based on all the lies Trudeau's been pushing our way, the reality could be here that it was not a brutal attack and it was not an unjustified attack from Russia against Ukraine, because he's saying that it's a brutal and unjustified attack. So inversion principle would say it's potentially not brutal and it's potentially not unjustified. There could be a reason Russia did it. And I'm not saying they did. I really do not know. All I'm trying to do now is to show you that the tweets that we've been seeing from Trudeau versus the reality, it doesn't add up. It hasn't seemed to have added up for the convoy. It hasn't seemed to add up for anything else that he's been tweeting in the last year. And I am wondering now if this is adding up in this case. Could be lining up perfectly. He could be absolutely right on this. I don't know. But I'm just saying, historically speaking, he hasn't given us reason to believe him that this is the right thing to do. So anyways, that's all I wanted to talk about for this this whole Ukrainian thing. Again, I'm just going to shut off my heater right next to my fireplace, and it's pretty hot. Just so you know, guys, my fireplace, whenever it cools down, the glass will do a huge bang noise, and I might just like yell on if it does it while we're still on air here. So it scares me every single time. So just you'll see. Anyways, okay. So hello, I'm just gonna say hello to a few people in the chat before we get started on what I wanted to talk to you guys about today. So I see a lot of people in here. Shout out to the DLive crew out there. Andrew, it looks like you're alone. I hope there's more people on DLive. I don't know how many are on DLive, but yeah. Shout out to the DLive crew. Shout out to everybody on YouTube, all the freedom fighters out there. Shout out to people who keep fighting every single day for our freedoms. So, okay, Mark. Oh, Mark, I'm sorry this is not a good day. I don't know what to say. Yeah, not very many good days ahead. But yeah, a big hello to you, Sam, Jesus, Philip. Hi, Philip. I hope you're doing well. Tommy, Redby, Andrew, I said hi to you already out on DLive. Megan, a lot of people here. And a lot of the people that I know you guys can't catch the Wednesday streams, which is why I'm trying to do more Sunday streams. So anyways, yes, please make sure you hit the like button so that you can help boost my morale as I get depressed that the freedom is leaving us every single day. So hit the like button on that if you also want to piss off YouTube, who doesn't want us to talk about this. So yes, exactly. So Philip, no, we are not talking about Ukraine and Russia at all. I just wanted to mention it very quickly that I think Trudeau might not be saying the truth about that either. But no, we're not talking about that, because I agree with you that right now Canada is in enough of a pickle in terms of losing all of our freedoms that I cannot focus my attention on anything but Canada. Right now, as a Canadian, my priority is focused on Canada. And I think somebody else just mentioned it in the chat here, but there was, yes, Megan, this is live. Hello, Megan. This is live. So somebody else mentioned it in here, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to find it, but it's, let me see if I can find it. One of you guys just said it, and it's absolutely true. Somebody said, it's a distraction. Oh, political foolishness, you're here too. So yes, I do believe it's a I don't know where it is, so I can't pop it up on the screen here, guys, but I do believe it's a distraction to consider Ukraine and all that. If you look at everything that's going on there, all of a sudden COVID disappeared. Have you guys noticed in the last like 3 yeah, pre-recorded? No, Megan, this one is live. So, and this is why like the live streams are they're tough on me, because I don't know what to like. I'm afraid of saying something and then everybody holds it up against me. At least when I record, and I can edit out some of the stuff I don't want live. So anyways, it's so a bit more stressful for me, but I feel like it's more necessary because I get to interact with you. But anyways, Ukraine is a distraction. COVID has, oh, see, I just got scared by my heater. Damn it. Oh, every time the glass pops out and I freak out. Okay, sorry. Whew. Regain your composure, Julie. Okay, so Ukraine is a distraction in terms of what we need to do. There's nothing we can do right now to help the Ukraine as a Canadian citizen. Our corrupt government will do whatever it does anyways. So, right? But we don't have the luxury of starting to mess around with other people's wars. Ukrainians and Russians, do your own thing. Canada, we need all hands on deck to save Canada right now. There is no distraction possible. And they are trying to distract us because they're talking about the Ukraine nonstop. And now they're talking nonstop about they've stopped entirely talking about COVID. Have you noticed? COVID has dropped off the map. And to me, this is very alarming. It means that they're working in the back end to do stuff. But what I wanted to talk about today, we're going to look at this. So I touched about this very, very, very slightly on Wednesday in the Wednesday stream, but we're going to look at this a bit more in depth here. I want to look at this with you guys. So you guys have heard in a lot of Canada now, they're going to be lifting all the restrictions. And I wanted to mention here that it's being encouraged to keep the Vax Pass in place. So just examples I've pulled up for you. There's many, many more if you do a search. Here's an example. Toronto restaurant keeps Vax Pass in place after staff and customers request it. Now, there's a couple of problems with this. This is incredibly dangerous territory because this is de facto fascism. And fascism, let's look up the definition, because I know people say, well, that's our interpretation of fascism. So let's just look it up. And my interpretation of fascism it's not an interpretation. I go with mostly the Dinesh D'Souza version of fascism, and he uses the true fascist, the Italian one. But let's just look at the definition here. Definition of fascism. So we'll pick Merriam-Webster. So it's a movement or regime that exalts a nation and often race above the individual, and that stands for centralized autocratic government headed by a dictatorial leader. Severe economical and social severe economic and social regimentation and forcible suppression of oppression. So this is a definition of fascism. Now, traditionally, the more historical definition, how fascism started, it was the idea to, of course, it's the nation above all, but part of that philosophy is that you also take the businesses within that nation. So communism just takes over the business and starts running it and all that. Fascism will work with the business to develop protocols, develop social ways of being. So this is what happens with fascism. So this is the typical. We got a cat pop up. This typical fascist definition. So, I mean, we can argue for 6 days about the exact definition of fascism, what it was historically, what it is now, what it's morphed into, and all that. I mean, that's for the philosophical departments across Canada. You guys want to go do that, go ahead. And I used to hang out with some guys in philosophy, and they used to debate this kind of thing literally for 6 days, most of the time when they were high. So we can do that. But for the purpose of today, I want to keep it simple and go with this definition of fascism, which is where the government will be centralized. They'll work with the businesses to impose these rules onto you, the citizen. So this is what we're going to go with. So when you look at here, when you look at businesses, so this is another one. Where's the other article? Toronto restaurant. Let's go back to this one. They have the Vax Pass, and they're choosing to go and enforce it even after the government has said no more, we don't need to do this anymore. This is the new introduction or the sneak in of fascism into Canada. And it's very important that we realize that, because I don't want to just dog on businesses who do this. If you're a business, you might think you're doing this for the right reasons, but the reality is now you are enabling a fascist environment within Canada. So any business, and there is no way to sugarcoat this and put it pretty. And this is me trying to kind of alert people who are business owners who may decide to keep this Vax Pass after the mandates are lifted by the government. You've been authorized by the government to keep this, and therefore you do, which means you are now the enforcer of the government protocol within your business, even after you don't have to. And the reason this is so egregious is because now we have enough data that shows people who are double vaxxed and boosted still get COVID. They're still getting COVID, and they're passing it along. And when we had the initial wave of people who were just banned out, like unvaxxed were banned from everything, only the vaxxed people would go. We saw all sorts of breakouts. The vaccinated were transmitting COVID between themselves and then making everybody sick. So the vaxxed are transmitting the disease. The vaxxed can get the disease, and the vaxxed can also end up in a hospital with the disease. So knowing that, there is no true health reason to keep this, yet they're going to hang on to that. They're hanging on to that reasoning, despite the fact that reality has now shown it is no longer needed. And this is where we're going to go through why this is such dangerous territory. So yeah, greeting from New Zealand. New Zealand, you guys, stay strong out there. You guys are also having the same problems we are in Canada. So big shout out to New Zealand freedom fighters. I hope you guys get your own freedom convoy going. So yes, Megan, you're absolutely right. It's the best tool to divide us. This is true. So, and I have to point out that who is going to manage what it means to be vaccinated in the future? Because now we are hearing some countries are onto their second booster. So that's 4 total for COVID in a year, which means who's going to determine now how many boosters are needed to consider being vaccinated? So these restaurants, now that it's no longer are they going to just request 2, or are they going to start following with the boosters as well? These are all questions that are open-ended that the restaurants who keep going along with this are going to have to face. They're going to have to face these decisions. And just to point out the lunacy of all of this, you now have a restaurant dictating you medical procedures. I just, even saying it, I can't even believe this is the country we live in today. Even after knowing that the vaccinated can get COVID, pass COVID, they have symptoms of COVID, they stay home sick from COVID, yet you're going to still enforce a vax pass. I don't know. Am I missing something? Put it in the chat. Like, what am I missing? I must be missing something. It's not connecting. I'm not computing, because if this was the measles and you got a vaccine against the measles and you still got the measles and you passed the measles, why would you be banned from society? I don't understand. I just don't get it. So Nation Arts Center. Yes, I think I saw that one. Oh my gosh, this is going so fast. Hold on, guys. Nation Arts Center is going to keep the vax mandate after they are dropped. Let me just look at that here. What is that? What is Nation Arts Center? I've never heard of that. Arts Center. Okay, vax pass. Okay, let's check that out. Oh, National Arts Center. Okay, hold on. I see it here. This one here, eh? So this is the one they're going to keep it past. Where is this? Where is this? What the heck is this? I don't even. Oh, Ottawa. Okay, Ottawa. Okay. So even after, eh? Oh boy. Even after. You know what's really weird too is, even though people are vaccinated and they still have to get tested before coming to Canada, and if they test positive, what do? I don't understand any of these. Nothing makes sense anymore. I'm struggling in this world, guys. I'm struggling. It used to be so simple, and now we have this. Okay, so yeah, so these guys are going to require it. This Toronto restaurant here are going to keep it, and they say it's for the customers requesting it, and of course they have the majority. But imagine if we had a restaurant where you would say the vaccinated are not allowed to come in. Imagine if the tables were reversed on this. I wonder what people would do. If you're a vaccinated individual and you are then told you cannot enter this restaurant, would you be okay with that? I mean, I'm just wondering, just open question here. Would you be okay with that? Or would you think that perhaps is an attack on your freedom? I don't know. I'm curious. Let me know. And I know that a lot of people who tune into these streams, I know you guys have taken the vaccine. And I've said this before. I am for 100% freedom. If you wanted to take the booster or you had to take it under duress, I feel bad for you if that was your case. But if you took the vaccines, I don't hate you. I'm not. I wish you well. I don't want you to get injured. I have no ill will towards anybody who got the vaccine, because I truly believe you have the right to choose for yourself what you want to do. And I know some of the people here are vaccinated. I know that. So tell me, let me know that. Then you don't have to say if you're vaccinated or not in the chat. Please don't. But I'm just saying, would you be okay if the tables were reversed and you couldn't go into a restaurant anymore? I'm curious. Sam, you're fine. You're fine being segregated from those people. Yeah, I get. This is the thing, that they've divided us now, and it's so sad. And the unvaccinated will grow, because right now it's just the people who didn't get the 2 initial shots. But I think in the future it'll be, if you haven't taken all the boosters, you're going to be considered unvaccinated. So even people who got the first 2 series of shots and say no more, those guys are going to fall within our category of you're vaccinated. So anyways, mandates in New Zealand. In New Zealand, for police and defense force were recently found to be invalid by the High Court. Wow, that's good news out of New Zealand. Yeah, and Andrew, I agree with you. The free market, this is where I'm hoping. This is my concern, Andrew, and you can let me know if you guys agree with me. And yes, I'm 100% Salty Army. Love Salty. And the Salt Queen, love them. So yes, Salty Army. If you guys don't know who Salty Army is, just go and find them there on YouTube. It's just this guy, I think he's in California, and he's amazing. So anyways, Salty is amazing. Okay. So yes, if let me just go back to what Sam was telling us there. If in the future, the vaccinated here, who will now be the unvaxxed soon, vaxxed today, unvaxxed tomorrow, guys, that's going to be you. But yeah, once these public measures are in place by these companies, we're going to have a problem. And my concern about the free market, so Sam, your thing about the free market, I'm concerned that these restaurants here, right, who keep the Vax Pass, what's to stop the government from giving these restaurants, these businesses, a special exemption of tax or a tax rebate or, like some kind of a kickback for doing this? And this is where the free market will only be applicable to the restaurants who open to everybody. But these guys will get like some kind of a subsidy. This is my concern. I'm concerned that the government, in their totalitarian efforts, will provide financing to the restaurants who keep the Vax Pass open. I don't know how they're going to do it. I don't know if it's straight up cash or some kind of a tax break. But I think in that case, these restaurants who really in the free market shouldn't be able to compete will actually be able to compete. That's my concern. It's my concern. So you can let me know what you think about that. Oh, I saw a trucker sign. Oh, hold on. Oh, this is going by too fast. I keep telling my husband to join me on these streams so that he can be like the voice in the background that can help me manage what you guys are saying in the chat, because I find you guys are always saying really awesome stuff and I'm very interested in what everybody has to say, but I don't always have time to read it when I'm going through all of the articles in the stream. So a trucker's protest sign that said that hit me: "Your vaccine status has no bearing on how much I love you." Yeah, it's true, eh? It's true. It's true. That's a good point, Saint John. And hello, by the way. There is, there was a lot of signs. I've been to the protest in my city here in Kitchener-Waterloo, and I've seen a lot of really awesome signs. And it's funny because when we're protesting, everybody has Canadian flags. The cars that are honking, we wave at them, and then we talk amongst each other. It's kind of like a really nice, warm feeling being in those protests. And we see people pass with the masks, they have masks on, and they walk through the protest. And nobody from the protest in Kitchener-Waterloo that I've seen, and I've been at almost all of them, I missed last week's, but I've been at all the other ones, and I have never seen anybody shout down somebody for wearing a mask. So if that's ever in the news, I'm going to vehemently deny that and expose those lies for what they are, because I was there and I have never seen it. People are very respectful. They let people come through. You want to wear a mask, you do it. And the same for people who are saying, that the protesters are like angry at the cars, people who are wearing masks in their cars. That's also not true. What I've seen people in cars who oppose the protesters flip the bird to the protesters or get their window down and yell obscenities. But I haven't ever seen one of the protesters in Kitchener-Waterloo that I've been at ever do that. And I go there normally for about 2.5 hours. My husband and I will go to these protests every Saturday, Sunday for 2.5 hours. And we've never seen anything brutal like that. So anyways, okay, let's keep going. So this restaurant, they are doing it in an effort here to enforce the vaccine passport, and they say it's because of health reasons. Our desire is to, I'm quoting from them, "Our desire is to keep everyone safe and worry-free while they dine with us." Now, safe, you're not keeping them safe. Sorry to say this, but you're not, because the people who are vaccinated can also transmit COVID. So how are you keeping them safe? You cannot guarantee. And by the way, what about somebody who's got another transmissible disease, right? There's not just COVID. Are you protecting them from everything else as well? What about if somebody walks in there and has tuberculosis? This is my question for the restaurants who decide to keep the Vax Pass. Any small business who decides to keep it. What if somebody has tuberculosis? I'm not going to show on your Vax Pass, but yet tuberculosis is a highly contagious, airborne, I think it's airborne, whatever, highly contagious disease. So you're not keeping them safe. You cannot, as a restaurant, your job is not to guarantee everybody's safety. Your job as a restaurant is to make sure that you're not spoiling the food. You're not poisoning people with your food. And it's also to provide a nice ambience for people to dine in, right? Provide some music, whatever. But as a restaurant, your job is to serve delicious food. I don't understand when it became the responsibility of a private restaurant owner, to provide, to keep everybody safe. And when you talk about safe, you really mean only safe. Well, you can't even mean COVID. But what if, for example, there's a bomb that gets detonated close to your restaurant? Is your obligation to also keep them safe from that? So should you be should you be opening up your restaurant in a bomb shelter? To me, the safe argument makes absolutely zero sense, because unless you're keeping them safe from everything, you're not keeping them safe. if you're making sure, you can't even make sure they don't get COVID in your restaurant, because the vaccinated you're letting in can have COVID and transmit COVID. We know that. So again, what am I missing? What am I missing, guys? Please help me out. Maybe I'm not smart enough for this and I don't understand this, but please help me out in the chat. If you could tell me what I'm missing. You cannot keep everyone safe. It is not your job. If somebody is truly terrified of everything, maybe don't go eat in a restaurant, right? But to ban people who would otherwise be able to go and eat in a restaurant in order to keep everyone safe when you can't keep them safe, it's beyond me. This makes absolutely no sense. So anyways, so now they talk about this, about what they're serving there. Let's just keep going on a little bit in this article, and we're going to look at another one. But they said, it was premature. They feel. So again, your freedoms are being taken away based on feelings. They feel it's premature to lift proof of vaccination. That doesn't feel providing or checking for it is difficult. Well, no, because the government has paid you to install the infrastructure for you to be able to do that. So now, of course, it's easy for you. The only thing is, by keeping this up, what you're truly achieving, you're not achieving your customer safety. You're not achieving anything else but segregating people between groups of categories in society. Some certain people have privileges, other people do not. This is the only thing that I can see this is achieving. Yeah. Anna, hello, Anna. Yes, Anna has a really good point here. It's dystopian. I could not have put this better. Thank you, Anna. It is a dystopian version of safety. It makes absolutely no sense at all. So, Typhoid Mary. Yeah, I don't even know if the restaurants are requiring their own staff to be vaxxed. This is what I don't understand. I don't know where that was left at. But yeah, I can't put it. Stu has a good point. I just can't put that up on the screen here. So anyways, no. And Mary, I don't know if this was directed at me here, missing the propaganda point. If this was directed at me, then I'm trying to show everybody the propaganda. This is what I'm trying to do. I'm hoping I'm doing a good job at exposing the propaganda, but this is what I'm trying. So I don't want you to think that I'm missing it at all. But anyways, I'm not sure if that was for me. Okay. So going on. So they're going to keep this up. Our business subsists so much on regulars that we know personally and see often. So checking them once is enough. So that means they're not going to check their passport, and they did it once and they're okay. As for how they plan on dealing with people who aren't willing to continue abiding by proof of vaccination, it will be the same as people who have been refusing to do so all along. Some throw tantrums, some yell at us, some abuse us on social media or write horrible reviews, even that they've never come in and eaten. They're definitely the loud minority. Again, this is propaganda, the loud minority. We explain calmly that this is our chosen mandate, that it protects our customers. Again, they keep saying that, but they haven't shown us how it protects them. It hasn't shown. They don't show us. How are you protecting your customers if you're COVID vaxxed? If you're vaxxed, people can still get COVID and transmit COVID. So It's their prerogative not to have a passport, and it's ours to require one. So anyways, so he says even people who have been frustrated with the passport system are happy that they're continuing with it. I don't know about that. They're only planning on going on restaurants that continue the program. So again, if we were a free market, I would be much more comfortable with this because this would get wiped out real fast in a free market environment. I think they're going to get some kickbacks from the government to do this. So here's another one. Businesses urged. See the language they use. Eh? We talked a lot about language in here. Yes, Pravda. They have the language in is very, very important, how they talk in these articles, because all of this is a CTV News, and CTV News, they all walk in lockstep with the government. So there's using the same kind of things here. Remember when Trudeau was urging us to get vaccinated? I urge you to get vaccinated. Now it's the businesses urging you to keep requiring the vaccine passports even after provincial regulation ends. So again, I haven't read this article, so we'll go through this together. But I bet you they're going to, I don't know if they're going to rely on safety like the restaurant, the other one we just looked at was, but so London, Ontario mayor. So this is, again, a public service urging all restaurants, all businesses to keep up with this, right? To keep the vaccine mandates for staff and customers after provincial requirements lift next week. So again, remember when I was saying I was really skeptical about the vaccine requirements being lifted next week? So it's March 1st for Ontario. And I was like, I don't believe this. I don't trust this. So I think what they're doing, like the more I'm looking into this and thinking about this, I think what they could be doing is lifting the mandates and seeing how many restaurants truly keep it and reassess from that, because we're going to see at the end of the stream today, I'm going to bring you back to what Dr. Tam said. It'll all click. I think it's all clicking, but this is kind of my theory on what's going on with this. So I think they're going to lift all these mandates, see the reaction, gauge the reaction, and then use a resurgence of whatever variant is coming next to smack down on us all these back again and said, well, look, we tried to lift them and people didn't like it. So at the will of the people, we are doing this. So I think part of that now is that they are urging the businesses to keep the vax passport, even while the provincial mandates have been lifted, in an effort to show, hey, we left it up to the businesses and they still wanted to keep it. So clearly they want it. Clearly everybody wants it. I think they're crossing their fingers that this is what's going to happen as they lift the mandates, that private businesses will keep it going. So keep the bullying that the government started will be now taken over by the private businesses, which is now a fascist regime. When you're in that environment, but this is reality in Canada. And this is why I implore business owners. I don't know if anybody's going to look at this stream, that business owners, but I really, really implore you to not go along with this. And I will show you why. I will show you why you go along with this as a business owner. Any private business owner who goes along with this is entering the Nazi territory. And again, you've seen me do the Nazi comparison over and over, and I never do that lightly. I do it backed up with lots of Nazi evidence. I do it with the archives. I've shown you over the last few years how the Nazi Germany incrementally brought in these measures. So when you think about Nazi Germany, it's always, the concentration camps. They didn't start at the concentration camps. I know you guys know this. We've gone through this before. They started small measure here, small measure there, and then, over and over. And then at the end, they went a little bit harder on the measures, and then the war broke out. And while the war was breaking out, then they actually just brought in full martial law. It was insane. But you have to go back to early Germany to realize, what is it that the government did to bring you up to the end? And again, I want to say this because I have to. This is not, a lot of people, especially on BitChute, is notorious for this. The BitChute crew is going to attack me for saying that oh, it was measures against the Jews, and they're going to say, oh, you Jew lover, Look, okay, I'm not against the Jews at all. So yes, you can call me a Jew lover, and I will not take that as an insult. But I want you to remember, this is not about the Jewish people. I am not trying to make a case for the Jewish people. As much as I defend them, and as much as I think what happened to them was horrific, when I'm talking about this in this context today, it is to make a parallel so that the Canadians can understand, when there's a division created in our society, when the government steps in to help that division, and then the private businesses step in behind that to create the division, perpetrate that division, we are in Nazi Germany territory right now. We are there, guys. This is the Canada we live in today. So I'm going to show you those Germany measures, but we're just going to finish this article right here. So this mayor strongly encourages proof of vaccination to be considered by businesses. And then the doctor, who's this? London's London's acting medical officer of health, Dr. Alex Summers. So here you have an unelected official, by the way, making a recommendation on what private businesses do. Just sit on that one for a few seconds to think about that. You have a non-elected representative who is now encouraging private businesses to keep collecting your private medical data to eat there. It's insane. Okay, I'd ask institutions, businesses to make their own call on that. Of course you will. You can make your own call on that, but then they send the goons, at 2 a.m. and break your legs if you don't. This is how it feels to me. It feels very threatening, Oh, no, you don't have to do the Vax Pass. But then 2 a.m. knock on the door, eh? So I think businesses, for the sake of their clientele, will ultimately do the right thing. So this is, again, you can tell this is the same propaganda language. We've covered this many, many times in the last 2 years. Do the right thing is the sentence that's been used to guilt people into doing it. So Trudeau says it a lot. He'll say, most Canadians did the right thing. And he's implying by that they were good Canadians. They listened and did what the government asked and got their vax. In this case, they're actually saying the same thing. Oh, these business owners, they'll do the right thing. Don't worry about it. We'll leave it up to them and they'll do the right thing. So this is why they're lifting the measures. They're going to see what's going to happen, and the government will reassess after that. And of course, we're going to get another variant, and they're going to use the next variant to bring back all of this again. This is why it's so important to get as many business owners on our side as possible. On our side means the freedom side, so that we don't go down the Nazi Germany path, because we're there. We're going down it. And I can tell you that if we keep this up, we will get the concentration camps soon. So, okay. They're joining, so the London Health Sciences Centre are joining other large institutions by continuing to require proof of vaccination after provincial regulations lift. He warns, isn't over just because some restrictions are lifting. Of course not. So see, all of these health officials that got some kind of some level of fame and notoriety from all of this, they don't want to give up the power now. They want this. They want COVID. The COVID is like their wet dream at this point. They cannot live without COVID. What are they going to do if there's no COVID, right? So this is why they're hanging so dearly on for that. They want the pandemic to continue. There's no, they don't care that you're vaccinated, that you got all the boosters. They need the pandemic to continue. So again, here's a bit of fear porn for you. Omicron in our community remains high. So we'll continue to see substantial transmission. But aren't most people in London vaccinated? So how is that possible? Okay. So anyway, so that's that one. So we saw this one here. We saw this one. Just little story time, more local to me. I saw that there are 2 businesses in my area that are going to keep the Vax Pass, and they, on their Facebook page, they are removing contents of anybody who opposes it. So even I saw one person that called them out for that, and they said, "Oh, we had to remove those comments because we deemed them to be racist." So business owners, it's a very shady grounds right now that they're in, and I really hope that they choose freedom and non-discrimination policies as opposed to the discrimination policies the government started, because on their Facebook pages, these businesses that go publicly saying we're going to keep the Vax Pass even after, they are deleting the comments of opposing it. So if you read their Facebook page, it's all glorifying moments only. It's all, oh great, we're so glad you get the Vax Pass, and it doesn't give you the true feeling that the community has about that. Because I can tell you from being at the protests every week, there is a large part of the community where I'm at that doesn't want these Vax passes. And those are only the people who show up at the protest. There's more who don't even go protesting, who are actually against this discrimination. So when you, so we're going to look at this article a bit later. I wanted to look here first. Okay, so this here, just to give you where I'm taking all of this from, if you're ever interested in looking this up, this is my sources. The Avalon Project, this is from Yale Law School. Okay, so it's not just some like shady place, that I pulled my information from. This is straight out of Yale Law School. And what's really awesome about Yale Law School is that they have a lot of the archives from the Nuremberg trials. And when I did the series on the Nuremberg trials, we looked at some of the archives that they have there as well. They've translated all of them to English so we can actually read them and access them. But I wanted to show you this one. If you are a business owner, pay attention here, because you are now, if you keep the Vax Pass past whatever the government says that it can be removed, if as a business owner you keep it, you are now discriminating against people. You are participating in a society that is actively discriminating based on, I don't even know what, because you're not discriminating on healthcare, because your patrons, the ones that come into a restaurant that are vaccinated, can still get COVID. So you are discriminating on a whim, basically. You're discriminating on poor evidence. You're discriminating on false information. But at the end of the day, you are discriminating against people. You're discriminating against citizens. And why it's important to look back at the Nazi years, at the early Nazi years when they were starting these discrimination processes, because we are getting there and you are helping the government. You are helping the Nazification of Canada if you keep discriminating this way. And I'm so sorry that I have to put it this way. I feel I need to be blunt in this because there is no other way to put this. If you do the Vax Pass, you are acting like a Nazi. Simple. It's very simple. And I'll show you why. This is why. The Avalon Project here, this one here, this is volume 3. I'm going to go to volume 4. Volume 3 deals with a lot of the earlier stuff. We're just going to go into volume 4 because I wanted to show you this one. Here is the menu. These are all the decrees and the orders that you can look at. So if you're interested in looking this up yourself, avalon.law.yale.edu, and you'll find it in here. The Nazi Conspiracy and Aggression. There's 4 volumes in there now, and I think they're working on a few more. So look at these. Law concerning Jewish tenants, right? First regulation of the rights citizenship. These are all the decrees that the Nazis did in Germany. So there's decrees for all sorts of stuff. It's not just the Jewish people, just all sorts of decrees. Here's one, the Hitler Youth, right? Let's see, decree dissolving the Guild of the Virgin Mary. All sorts of decrees. The confessional youth organizations. There's also some discussions with Hitler. I think I saw in here the letters between Stalin and Hitler, and like all sorts of stuff is stored in here. Here, von Papen report on meeting with Hitler. You can see all of this in here, all translated to English. But what I wanted to see with you guys today is this one here. So this one is it's document 1415 if you want. It's part of this one, the Reichsgesetzblatt, part 1, if you're interested. But I wanted to check this one out because this is the decree that they used in Nazi Germany to push the Jews out of restaurants, out of all sorts of stuff, but restaurants, public spaces. We're going to look at this decree because if you as a business owner continue with this discrimination against the Canadian citizens, you are doing what the Nazis did under this decree. It's even worse for you because you don't even need a decree from the Nazi government. You just do it yourself. It's even worse. It's Canadian businesses who do this, in my opinion, is even worse than the Nazis. It's worse. So, okay. On the basis of the decree 14 November 1938 regarding police decrees of Reich ministers, the following is decreed. Article 1, the government presidents in Prussia, Bavaria, and Sudeten German areas, the proper authorities in remaining provinces of the Old Reich, the district campaigns in Austria, and the Reichskommissar of the Saar district may impose upon Jews, both subject of the German state and stateless Jews, restrictions as to place and time to the effect that they may not enter certain districts or may not appear in public at certain times. So this here is the decree that banned Jews from restaurants, banned Jews from parks, banned Jews from going out. It gave the curfew. So Montreal, you guys had your curfew. Quebec, I guess, you had your curfew for a while during the COVID era. This is all things that they've done, except the curfew in Montreal was against everybody. It was more like a wartime curfew than a decree that the Nazis would have done. But still, to have a wartime decree in Montreal. But anyways, let's get back to this. So they're basically telling the Jews. Now, I want you to replace Jews in the sentence because, again, like I said a bit earlier, if you're just starting to go in here now, into the stream now, this is not about the Jews. This is about Canadian citizens. I'm just drawing a parallel. The Canadians, you are now telling Canadians that they may not enter. See, you may not enter restaurants. I'm going to replace the words, but you see that's the same decree. If you do the discrimination, this is the decree you're doing. So restrictions as to that you may not enter certain restaurants, right? Because of your status. In this case, the Jewish case, it was you were a Jew. In our case, it's because you're an unvaxxed. So it's the same. But what's worse about the Canadian businesses who are about to start discriminating against citizens, as in we don't allow you into our place of business, is you're doing it without even a government decree. At least the Germans did it with a government decree, and they had the SS at their door every night, making sure no Jewish people were going in. You Canadian business owner, are doing this without a decree. Do you understand how dire this is? Do you understand that you are doing the exact same thing that Nazi Germany did to the Jews, but you are doing it to the unvaxxed Canadians? It is the same thing. There is zero difference here. So whoever willfully or negligently violates the regulations will be fined up to 150 right marks or punished with imprisonment of up to 6 weeks. So we've seen this in Canada too, where during the protest there, where they would give you a potential where you would get fined or you can get imprisonment as well. And we saw it as well during the COVID era, where you can get punished when they did the full lockdown and you couldn't go anywhere. If you were caught going somewhere, you could get a fine or jail time. So again, at least that was the government doing it. And I'm not that I'm excusing, the government is corrupt AF, like corrupt government. But at least the government was doing it. Now, private businesses are about to embark on the Nazification of Canada. So Article 3, the police decrees goes into effect after this promulgation. And here you can see it was signed by order, and it was this guy Heydrich who signed it. So there are tons in the Avalon Project. There's tons of these decrees. And I mean, I've read a few of them, and I'm going to keep, when we did the whole Nazi series at the start of 2021, I went through a bunch of these decrees as they were being issued in Nazi Germany. But I wanted to specifically flag out this one. So the document is 1415 of the 1938 one. And this is the decree that prevents Jews from going into restaurants. And horrific in nature. So all of that. So again, we have businesses who are, let's go back to here, keeps Vax Pass in place after the government doesn't even require it. This is the Nazification of Canada you're watching. You're watching it in real time. And it is so, it pains me deeply to see business owners do this, because I don't think and I don't want to fault all business owners. I think a lot of business owners have been swept up in the narrative. They do not realize what is really happening, that people who are vaxxed are getting COVID. and they're being swept up, and they think they could be thinking in their mind. I'm trying to put myself in their mind to try to relate to them and see how we can just expose the truth to them, just help them understand that what they're doing is purely Nazifying Canada. But I think they're thinking, oh, we're doing this because we're doing it for health. We're doing it for the right reason. But you're not. You're not doing this for health. You're not keeping your patrons safe, your customers, when they're in your restaurant. They're not safe. It is not your job to keep them safe. Your job is to make sure they don't get food poisoning because you left the chicken outside of the fridge for too long, or because you stored your chicken next to the cooked kitchen, the chicken, raw chicken, cooked chicken next to each other, and they cross-contaminated. I used to watch Gordon Ramsay and his kitchen nightmares all the time, which was awesome. But I feel, this is probably a good parallel on this, because in Kitchen Nightmares, the restaurant owner was always in denial about the problems in his restaurant. So Gordon Ramsay would always go in and he would say, oh, look at the state of your kitchen, and your customers are coming in. And he starts by eating the food there. And he's like, oh, this is disgusting. This is gross. There's too much oil, or it's undercooked, or it's mushy. This is what Gordon Ramsay would say. And then the business owner is still sitting there going, no, my food is really good. I feel like a lot of people in Canada are like that business owner. Like, you can have people expose to them the truth and the reality of what's going on, but they're still sitting there going, no. And I wonder, how can we be more like Gordon Ramsay and going in and trying to explain to them that when they require any vax pass like that, they are actually using a Nazi tactic, and they are the ones bringing to Canada the Nazification. I don't know how else to do it. But yeah, it's just, I don't know. I don't know how we can reach out to them and say, guys, your vaccinated patrons are getting COVID. Hey, if they have COVID while they're eating there, they can pass COVID to the next table. Your job is not to keep your people safe. Your job is to make sure that you serve good food and don't poison them along the way. Don't give them salmonella, right? That's your job as a restaurant. It's not to keep them safe. And like I said at the start, yeah, I would need to swear more, right, Terry? That's what we should go swearing. Bring in the Gordon Ramsay army. Go swear. But no, they wouldn't they wouldn't like me. They wouldn't like us going swearing at them, because we can't help fix their restaurant, right? Only they can do that at this point, I feel. But yeah, the denial and the brainwashing is incredibly serious. You're absolutely right, Anna. It's how do we reach out to these people? How do we bring them over and make them understand that you allowing vax pass when there is no longer a medical reason for it is Nazism. The Ottawa and Trudeau and all of his goons are always looking after oh, there's Nazis here, there's white supremacists over there. The real Nazis, guys, and I say this with the utmost seriousness, from all of the research, all of my understanding of history, the real Nazis will be all the restaurant owners who will require a vax pass. This is where your Nazis are, guys. Not in the protesters with Nazi flags. Your real Nazis are here. They're sitting in Ottawa. We know that. But the other ones, the boots on the ground Nazis, will be all of these people who keep the vax pass active long after the government no longer requires it. And because it's not even a government decree, meaning that these restaurant owners, these business owners won't go to jail if they don't do this. They have no ramifications. There's no potential downside aside from their delusional downside of keeping people safe. Bringing in some kind of an unsafe environment is delusional, if you ask me. But these are the true Nazis doing this, because you're not even doing it via coercion. You're not. You're willingly becoming a Nazi. And I really hope that the business owners will seriously think about this. I hope there's some way we can get through to them and we can talk to them and make sure that this doesn't go through, because this is the end of Canada. If this keeps happening, guys, I already think Canada is very we're in a dire situation, which is why we don't need to look at the Ukraine right now. Like, don't look there, just help us here. But yeah, the Canadians are in deep trouble if the businesses keep the vax pass long after it is. So we need to make sure that we win over these people. I don't know how to do this. Put for prime minister. Hey Maple, I see you in there. I see you, buddy. I see you. I hope you're doing well. But yeah, that's pretty much it for today, guys. Snowmatic. Oh my gosh, I think I totally ignored you last time. I'm so sorry. I did not mean to. So big hello to you. But yeah. Yeah, I hope you guys have a really good week. I hope you join me on the Wednesday stream. Please hit the like button, because you hit the like button last week on the stream and it was amazing. I got so many, like an increase in likes. So hit like if you don't want to see Canada being a Nazi state. And I'll see you on the Wednesday stream, where I'm sure we're going to see a bunch of crazy stuff happen. It's going to be the first day opening up in Ontario, and I'm going to look at what's going on with that. But until then, I really hope you enjoy the rest of the weekend. And thank you so much for joining today, guys. I really appreciate when you come and you comment and you hit that like button. It makes me so happy. And yeah, so anyways, have a good rest of the day, a good rest of the weekend, and we'll chat soon.